Coaching on tracks, balling like a paper like Phil. I'm Morpheus if real, my rhymes convict and heal. A world blind, my lines a red pill.
Offense properly, defense properly. You're looking to see just how quickly they can get in sync and do what the coaches have asked him to do.
For Dallas, he's at 45% from three, second best in the NBA behind George Hill. And AD.
You have so much to focus on that you really aren't looking into the crowd. Maybe if there's a free throw or something like that. So the sound should sound real and a little familiar to them, hopefully.
Played back on March 11th. That was completed. Nuggets versus Dallas. Boban went for 31 and 17. Porzingis did not play that game. He was resting his sore knee, so Boban absolutely can get it done. As KCP does a nice job of getting in the lane. Kleber. Danny Green high off the glass.
A lot of weapons, Geeter, and I think LeBron is smart enough to know that if he can create more weapons, there's the big weapon right there.
Welcome to the Faithful Fan Show. I'm your host, Tony Cook. I am joined and co-host today by Juan. Big Juan, my man. He's coming from Costa Mesa. Let's get it. We just had a nice barbecue, had some good beer. We're here to talk NBA and NFL with you guys. Juan, how you been, man?
Great. Awesome.
Awesome.
Glad to be here.
NBA is back. NBA is back. Juan's here to do a deep dive with me. We watched the Clippers play. We've watched the Bucks play. We've watched the Lakers play. And all I got to say is it's the Lakers show. It's LeBron's show. That's how I feel after watching all these teams playing their little scrimmages. Teams have gotten their scrimmage on in the bubble. My friend Juan, he's always been a fan of he's been a fan of LeBron, but he likes the Clippers this year. Now, since the bubble started back up, how do you feel about LeBron going against the Clippers in the playoffs?
I'd like to see the Clippers do something because I've always been the underdog cheerleader.
That's true. This is true.
But LeBron is that once-in-a-lifetime talent, and
yeah,
he's not hiding it from anyone anymore. He's not holding back. I think it's LeBron's ship to lose.
LeBron's ship to lose. I agree with that. But for the most part, there's a lot of people out there, Clipper fans that came out of the woodwork that think the Clippers have something to show the Lakers when they meet in the playoffs. If they meet in the playoffs, Western Conference Finals is what we're predicting. They got a lot of wings to throw at LeBron James. They got a lot of defense to throw at him. The problem is their 1-2 punch to me, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, is not as strong as LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Now, how do you feel about because Paul George will have an issue defending him in the playoffs. Who do you think we throw at him?
At LeBron?
No. Who do we throw at Paul George if he gets off?
I think Paul George is gonna undo himself like he's always done.
He does fade away in the playoffs. He does. You're right.
And particularly against LeBron.
This is another true point.
LeBron's always owned the East, and Paul George was always fell victim to LeBron's heroics, so to speak. So I don't see why this is any different.
This is true. And I didn't even think about that. Originally, I was thinking because everyone knows Kawhi Leonard, and we got bodies, but Paul George is a little smaller. We would be throwing Danny Green at him. I think that's a bad formula to try to stop Paul George.
Well, think of it this way: how many points does Paul George have to score to upset the Lakers on a nightly basis?
This is true. He'd have to be dropping 30 a night to combat LeBron and AD.
Easy. He would have to be doing production that he's just never done consistently. Because he's done it. I'm not saying he can't do it. Like he's got the talent. Dude can ball, but to do it night in and night out over a long series, he's
always faded.
I just don't see him doing that.
You're right. But the other things that they have Kawhi Leonard, who's good offensively and defensively. That's gonna, people say that'll cancel out LeBron. I don't think so. Just because that's the most recent thing you've seen. What have you done for me lately? Kawhi's won a chip, and that's why people say that. people like Max Kellerman's willing to say Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the NBA. I don't buy it. Only reason he was last year is because LeBron James got injured.
Remember, Kawhi has beaten LeBron in the playoffs before. He has.
When he was with the Spurs,
Yes.
kind of deep, and he had, who did he have? He had Duncan, he had Parker. You know what I mean? I get it.
He had a squad, but nonetheless, Kawhi was MVP.
He was.
And
he
Kawhi was credited with slowing down. He didn't
He's the
stop
one that
LeBron.
guarded LeBron. He's the one that guarded LeBron.
He
You're
slowed
right.
him down. So he's got that going for him. He's got stuff going for him. But I think LeBron at this point is just on a mission, mindset,
He
all
looks
of that.
focused.
I think he's been ready. He's hungrier than he's ever been. He's not going to let anything stop him right now. And I think if he has to drop 50, he will. He's always been reluctant to do that, I think, in different points throughout his career that I've seen him play, which has been frustrating for me as a LeBron fan. But I think he's ready to drop 50 if he has to. I don't think he's going to go out on the floor thinking, I'm going to score 50.
But it might happen
But
organically.
if he has to do it, he's going to do it.
He's proven that he can, too. He's proven that he can, dude. And he's also got Anthony Davis.
Exactly.
He's got Anthony
Exactly.
Davis. That's big time. That's big time. The other problem the Clippers are having is they can't seem to get their full roster out there on the court at the same time, for one game. They've been dealing with all type of continuity issues. Like Beverly's not out there right now in the bubble. I heard someone else just recently got back. Marcus Morris just got back.
Yep.
They're still trying to get all their players in there. The Lakers have better continuity, I feel like. They have a better team chemistry. I like Vogel. Not more than Doc, but I like Vogel. With that being said, I need to know what your exact playoff predictions are now that the NBA has restarted. Who do you see coming out of the East? Who do you see coming out of the West?
All right, I think what's interesting, well, first of all, let me just say, it's interesting about this bubble is that I think those first 22 games are almost inconsequential. These are just scrimmages.
Yes.
I think you're going to see some movement at the bottom.
Okay.
Maybe the
Davis,
Pelicans can move
yeah.
up. Maybe Washington has a chance. I really don't think they'd have a chance because Brooklyn is decimated.
Yeah, Dinwiddie didn't come
Yeah.
because of safety issues, and he's their best
And they
player.
got two
so-
COVID positives and
Yeah,
and
they
other
got a
personal
lot of
reasons,
stuff
guys.
going
So
on.
I think so. Washington has an opening, and it just so happens that the squads at the bottom, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Orlando, Washington,
Yeah.
they're relatively younger squads, right?
Yeah.
So I think these 22 games are like scrimmage pickup games, essentially. There's no
And that's
crowd,
what it's looked like. That's what it's
right?
looked like.
And there's no crowd. There's no home or away advantage.
Yeah.
There's no energy. So these
So
are pickup games. So I think,
where are these players pulling their motivation from? It's like
These are
you're gonna
pickup
see who the
games.
real dogs are. Like who
Well,
really gets you?
I think these are pickup games for these young guys, and it's just gonna be kind of a mess for 22 games. And there may be some movement at the bottom, but the staples, so to speak, Milwaukee, Toronto, the LA teams,
Yeah.
these guys aren't gonna move. They're not
No,
gonna
they're-
go
they're
anywhere.
right
I don't
at
think
the top.
anything changes here. And once you get into playoffs, it will change to more NBA basketball. It has to.
Yeah.
Because that's when the coaching counts a lot more.
The game will slow down.
Exactly. That's when the defense tightens up. Everything will change once you get into the playoffs. And playoffs, all the advantages really go to the veteran, solid team.
Yeah.
I know the Lakers haven't been as this squad to the playoffs, but
They
AD's got some playoff experience. LeBron has. He probably has more playoff experience than the entire rest
Danny
of the.
Green just won a chip.
Danny
He's been to the playoffs
He's
quite a
beaten
few
LeBron.
times.
I
Yeah, he's
mean,
been with the Spurs. What am I talking
He's
about?
been in the systems.
Yeah.
He's done it. Danny Green, even though I'm not a huge Danny Green fan, he's actually a very serviceable player. He does
little things. He got overpaid by the Lakers, but that's
Right.
because we lost on the Kawhi Leonard move.
Right.
We had to pay somebody. So
And he's
that's why-
serviceable. He's gonna do what he
He'll
does.
hit the three, and they'll guard him out there at
Yeah.
the three. That's important too.
And he can pester people.
Yeah.
He can pester people. He's not a
Defensively.
great defensive player, but he can pester people.
He got torched by Doncic yesterday,
Yeah.
but
That's all right.
Everyone's getting
Scrimmage.
torched by Doncic.
Again,
Yeah.
scrimmage.
This is true.
Scrimmage. Anyway, I don't think anything changes at the top of the brackets. I think it's going to be the Bucks and the Raptors, and then.
Okay, so that's your Eastern Conference Finals, Bucks, Raptors. I like it. That's what
That's what it's gonna be.
Okay.
That's what it's gonna be.
And you got Lakers, Clippers.
Clippers. I think the Nuggets have an outside shot just because they're so good. Yeah, he's so good.
Jokic is good.
He's so good moving the ball. He's so good inside. He's so good outside. But the problem is with the Nuggets is you can't have that dude playing the minutes he played last playoff seasons, and he can't do it 2 years.
They're going to run him up and down the floor. That's what they do to Embiid too. They do the same thing to all these great bigs.
Yeah.
They can't even be on the floor in crunch minutes. One, because they're in foul trouble by that time, and because they're out of wind.
Yeah.
But did you?
So the Nuggets have an outside shot.
Oh my God!
But I think it's at the end of the day, the Clippers are just they just have too many weapons. They're just too balanced. They're just too stacked. They're not gonna get them. They're not gonna move them out of there.
So Juan, give it to me. Are the Clippers gonna beat the Lakers?
No, I don't think so.
They're not gonna. So wait. So I feel like before the quarantine, you were singing a different tune. Juan, I'm gonna call you on this, dude. Like, I think you were telling me that you think the Clippers.
The last game I watched, full from end to end, was Lakers Clippers.
Oh, okay. Before the quarantine, you saw something there.
And I think just everything I've seen from LeBron as far as how he's been active, and I follow him on social media. I'm a big LeBron fan. I think he's just focused. He's just not.
I agree.
He's not gonna. He's not gonna let. He's already lost to Kawhi. He's already seen what Kawhi did last year.
He assembled a team. He got to rob into his Batman.
He got all his wishes pretty much,
mm-hmm.
right? He got everything he needed. The Lakers said, "Oh, you want all this? Here it is."
Yeah.
All right. So he's got everything on his plate. He's ready to eat.
He's ready to eat. Well, you heard it from the man Juan. Juan thinks the Lakers are going to the chip to play the Bucks. Well, the Bucks or the Raptors, one of the two.
Probably,
That's a tough one.
Probably the Bucks. I think the Raptors are a better team.
Mm-hmm,
but
all around, but Bucks have the
playoffs,
star.
Yeah, playoffs, the stars. This is where they shine, and if they shine, they win. That's clear.
This is true. This is true. Well, we got Bucks versus the Lakers in the finals. It's Juan's predictions. We are halfway through episode 12. We will be right back after I pay a couple bills. Faithful Fan Show. Be right back.
Back to the Dell days. Charlotte. Porzingis into the lane, gets the first bucket. 4.
I don't know about you all, but I've kind of missed seeing that from AD, that little fadeaway. God, he's so good from 18 to 20 feet.
Again, I told you, I didn't go out on a limb too far picking him as take your shot.
Much rust with these two teams. Remember, Dallas was the last game completed back on March 11th. They beat the Nuggets 113 to 97. Yeah, AD wide open from the top. AD shooting very well from 3 in 2020, much better than he did
as they go into the playoffs.
17-3 run. Mike Trudell's going to join us right now with a KCP update. What do you got, Mike?
Yeah, Geeter. So he rolled his ankle, but the report is that he's out of their 8 to secure that. So you have to think they feel pretty good about the lead they built at this point.
In big game, I want to bring you in. One of the big reasons why Dallas, the game Danny Green hit the game-tying 3 at the buzzer. But Luka, already a star. And now teamed up with Porzingis as he comes down and hammers one.
The scrimmages and the games moving forward, because that is certainly a very important aspect of what will be happening in Orlando. But what's happening right there is Luka Doncic with a drive. He's got 11 points.
Throughout the NBA, and I think that would, challenge some of these scores, who a lot of them, like Harden,
to add to in terms of more minutes together. And I'll tell you what, that's going to happen now, right? Specifically with Rondo and Bradley out, he is the guy that you think of as stepping into that bench role.
And, look, Dr. Brown's goal really is to help educate the Lakers further in the organization's push towards what they want to call progress on, and really everybody, Chris, to try to really embrace what's been going on in this movement across the country.
Yeah, we appreciate that information, Mike.
Welcome back to the Faithful Fan Show. I'm back here with Big Juan. We're going to talk about some football now, okay? Now they put out the safety protocol. Is that what it is for the NFL?
Yep.
And what are some of these safety protocols they got? J.J. Watt's been screaming at Twitter, talking about they need to make it safe. They need to come up with a plan for them to play. Now, what's some of the stuff they got going on in the NFL?
Well, stringent testing, and if somebody's positive, quarantine for, which I find a little interesting, is like some of the quarantine for the guys, if they're asymptomatic but they test positive, they quarantine them for less days than if they test positive and had symptoms.
But does that matter if they're asymptomatic? See, it's all up in the air.
It's all different epidemiologists and doctors and medical people obviously talking into it. And the NFL, their big stars are very few relative to, to the sport, to each team. So,
Definitely.
So, they can't afford to have these guys out for too long. So they're trying to make them out for the minimum amount of possible time if COVID happens. But basically, most of their rules revolve around reporters, that are constantly around football players. So they're limiting the number of reporters that can be that can have access to practices and on-field practices.
Yeah.
So they have like a tier system where they go tier 1 through 3 is the players, coaches, people on that rank, and then some reporters. But the reporters won't be allowed to do in-person interviews. They'll be doing them over Zoom. But the reporters that are present at the facilities, they actually have to wear a tracking device that all the players have to wear at all times when they're on the facilities. They all have to wear tracking software.
Talk about an infringement on rights.
All that. They're going to know exactly where you go.
But it makes sense. But that makes sense because if someone were to pick up the virus, they can trace everyone that was in the area at the time.
Exactly.
All you guys get tested. All you guys get quarantined. That's how that works.
Exactly.
So I can see where that. And they needed something. They needed something strong to come through because rookies arrived this week. They arrived, I think, Tuesday at rookie minicamp or whatever, and there was no protocol. There's no safety. There's no testing being put forth. So they had to get on a giddy up and get all this together. What are some of the other things that they got in place, like as far as the safety protocols? Like, is there any other safety protocols we should know about?
No, it's mostly, again, they have, what I think is interesting is a tier system. Tiers 1 through 3 get closer to the players, and after that, it's further away from the players. But all these people that are going to be in the facilities, they don't even have to be near the players. They have to get tested. They get temperature checks before they come on the field. Again, for the tiers 1 through 3, which are all the players, coaches, and I think 10 reporters get access to this.
Only 10, when normally it's like 30. It's like it's just a mass horde of.
This is going to be crazy for them because there's a whole lot of independent internet outlets that have just semi-recently gained access to teams to interview them and to write about them, and now all these people are kind of going to be shoved out.
It's messing up a lot of people's money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That have to do with sports.
Now it's just going to be the major outlets, ESPN, the local newspapers that have, the beat writers that have been with the teams for years that are still going to have the access. But all the people that were kind of, internet heroes, so to speak, or but that had a following and so forth, those are going to get pushed out from having access to the players and the teams. So so that's going to, rub a lot of people the wrong way. Or
some other changes that I heard: no preseason games.
Right, no preseason games.
That's a big deal for the players, the undrafted free agents. These players that are third and fourth string trying to fight to get on the team, like
essentially no tryouts. Essentially no tryouts.
That's what tryouts usually are for these players, is the preseason games. Without preseason, these coaches are going to be more intrigued to just pick up on their veterans, their guys that they know can get the job done. They're not going to take a chance on these young guys. It's a gut punch for a lot of these guys. I don't know. That'll be interesting. No preseason games. I mean, and the revenue that they don't bring in. Because don't they usually bring in some money for preseason games?
Oh, absolutely. Your stadiums still get attendance, TV rights. Games still get televised. So all this is going away, and I think the biggest loss is to find that one star, right? Like, there's always
that diamond in the rough.
The diamond. Usually, there's somebody that comes out of the prison out of nowhere that kind of explodes onto the scene. Kind of like
every year, there's one.
Kind of like the last guy I remember that really impressed me. Just watching it. This has been a while now, but. that just blew me out of the water was Victor Cruz.
Ooh.
When he was a
preseason dude.
Yeah, he was a
too.
preseason guy that just blew up out of the preseason, and we know
doing his salsa dance in the end zone.
His career got derailed by injury, but he had productive years when he was actually playing on the field. So guys like that we would hope come out of this, come out of the preseason, are not going to come out.
That's
so it's going to be a lot of status quo, which is not terrible, right? Because the NFL has a lot of good athletes.
There's a lot of good athletes, and
but it's always fun to see that one guy, that comes out of all that. So that's going to be sad.
That's going to be sad. It's still football, though. You know
Absolutely.
what? Thank you guys for getting it together so we can still have a football season. Hopefully, it sounds like everything's back. More football news. The Washington's team? What is it?
The Washington's.
So what is the name for this season?
The Washington's team. Let me just.
It's called Washington. So they are no longer the Washington Redskins. You cannot call them that. That is, a derogatory term. Now they're going to be called the Washington's team.
It's going to be called the Washington Football Team.
The Washington Football Team. There we go. I didn't want to get it wrong.
The Washington Football Team.
So they've had all this. So they've been thinking. Let's change the name. Let's change the name for about no longer than that. Long time.
Oh yeah, it's been a controversy for a long time. At least 10 years.
Can we get a better name though? Can we get a better preliminary name or?
Yeah. Well, I think they're saying they're going to take the year to really figure it out. For now, it's going to be Washington Football, the Washington Football Team, which is
guys.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Who's getting paid to make these decisions?
I don't think they're counting on many jersey sales this year.
Well, it's not like they're terrible, but
Well, people still go out and buy,
Hey,
look what I'm wearing.
My cousin is a Washington Redskins fan. Todd, what's up, man? Washington's football team? Come on, man. Come on.
He's not a Redskin fan anymore.
Why do I keep
He's a Washington football fan.
Washington football team fan. This is gonna take some getting used to.
You know what?
It's for the right. It's for the right though. It's in the right.
They're responding to the pressure, and
he's responding to. Hey, they hit his pockets, and he was like, "Okay, I'll change the name. I'll change." Sponsors said they were gonna pull.
They're responding to the pressure, and I know I don't know if you're aware, but there was a little controversy. There was a guy who actually bought out a bunch of potential mascot names for the Washington Redskins.
No, I didn't know about this.
There's a gentleman who bought out a bunch of domain names.
Okay.
That had possible names, and so some of the more popular names he owns, names that were gaining traction with the public.
Okay.
He owns, and so he's part of this is that they're trying to negotiate with this dude about how much money he wants.
And he's holding the best names for ransom, and that's probably why they couldn't move on what they wanted to move on.
Right. I think if they maybe one of these popular names, they might have been able to jump on it right away. But yeah, my understanding is this guy holds several of the popular names, and so
this
that's
guy. Did he do this in the past couple of years? That's interesting. He probably knew and foreseen that they were gonna have to change the name.
Yeah, he did.
I'm buying the domain of all these names.
Very entrepreneurial of the guy.
Wow.
To figure it out this way. Hey man, I wish I would have done it.
Yeah, good head on his shoulders. Head on his shoulders. All right, guys, that was football. Other news that's happened since the last episode: baseball is back. All the sports are back. You know what I mean? We love baseball here too. Juan, I know you watch baseball, but I never really knew who's your team? Who's your baseball team?
My team is the New York Mets.
The Mets.
The Mets.
He's a Mets fan.
That's right.
So not the Yankees?
No, not
What's going?
Not at all.
It's not. It's Jets and the Mets. Huh?
I've been cursed by the underdog bug.
Yeah, you said it earlier.
Jets, Mets. I mean, that's
and the
Knicks.
Oh my!
That's a horrible combination. It's just a life of sports purgatory. But I'll tell you the quick story of why I picked the Mets. I was born in Colombia, which is a whole other country, not Colombia, South Carolina.
Okay, yeah.
And when I moved here, I didn't know anything about baseball or football or basketball. I just knew soccer. And one time, we driving around, my mom, we stopped at a convenience store, and there were decals and stuff on the shelves. She's like, "Oh yeah, sure, pick something. I'll buy you something." So there was decals of the New York Mets, and there were decals of the New York Yankees. And at that moment, I thought,
You
okay,
chose.
whichever decals I like more and I choose, that's going to be my team. This is how I'm going to start my American life as a baseball fan.
So you started in America, and you had to choose.
Yeah, and
Yankees or Mets.
Just from those, I distinctly remember looking at the 2 little pages of decals hanging on the rack, and I was like, I like blue, and I like the combination of blue and orange. I picked the Mets and became a lifelong fan of the New York Mets.
And the Mets have had success in the past, right?
I was there when they won the championship in '69 with Nolan Ryan and I don't remember anybody else, but 1986.
Needless to say, the Mets have had success in MLB.
1986, I was in Game 3 World Series between the Mets and the Yankees.
Okay, there you go.
Subway Series. When Mike Piazza was around.
See, you're dropping them gems on me now. See,
so
I gotta hang out with Juan to get seasoned with my baseball culture. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like we are happy that baseball is back. We are happy that basketball is back. We are happy that football is on its way back. Thank you, sports. Thank you so much. Thank you, Juan, for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
All day.
Awesome.
You're gonna come back again. I appreciate you bringing the laptop with all the facts on it.
I wanna look professional. I think the laptop does.
It does, definitely. There hasn't been a laptop yet.
You don't look professional.
Rookie in the paint, going hard with the venom. Shot so much, man, I think I need a leg. Rookie in the paint, going hard with the venom. Shot so much, man, I think I need a leg. Animal, MC Cannibal, rap Hannibal. Here to change the game, mainframe, all y'all programmable. Coaching on tracks, balling like a paper like Phil. I'm on BS if real, my rhymes convict and heal. A world blind, my lies a red pill, real. Ball like I've been here, rookie in his prime. Focus like Jordan the second time. Kobe in playoff times, you know believe when I drop. Call for it, Kalinko in the Blizo spit. Auto like free throws by Ito. Circle loose stroke magic. Rhymes over all y'all like Dirk for 2. Rookie in the game, insane, coming for you. GGB the crew. Rookie in the paint, going hard with the venom. Shot so much, man, I think I need a leg. Rookie in the